so we are going to look at, or continue to look at, adding a three-digit add-in, but we're going to take it just one step further. So in our last video, we looked at adding three fractions. In this one, we're just going to take it a little step further. So in this scenario, there are three second grade teachers, and the first teacher has used some pack of paper so far this quarter. And with those three second grade teachers, the first teacher has used some, the second teacher has used some, and the third teacher has all used some of a packs of paper. And in this scenario, we want to know how many packs of papers have the teachers used in all. So all of the three second grade teachers. So in the beginning, we know that the first teacher uses 3 3/5 packs of paper, but we still have to figure out the second and the third teacher. So in this scenario, we will be looking at using and adding mixed fractions, so three-digit mixed fractions. So it works the same way as before, where we still have to draw our models, we still have to find common denominators, we're still going to start with adding our fractions, and then we are going to add our wholes, and then finally we'll make sure that we write our answer as a mixed fraction. Okay, so first teacher, 3 3/5. The second teacher is 8 1/2. And then finally, the third teacher's is 6 7/10. So we know that our equation now is the first teacher, 3 3/5, plus 8 1/2, plus 6 7/10. Now, like before, what do you think I'm going to ask you to do? Of course, you have to draw a model still. So for 3 3/5, we're going to have our wholes and our 3/5. Plus our 8 wholes. 1, 2, 3. And our 1/2. Oh, I didn't do this one. And then our 6 7/10. Okay. So now that we have that, our next step is to find a like denominator. So we'll go by and we'll look at each denominator and see, is there a way that I can change one denominator into another type of denominator. So in this case, starting with our fifths, can you change fifths into halves? No. So that is not going to be our common denominator. Can I change fifths into tenths? Yes, that will work. But fifths into halves, I can't, so I can't use that. Likewise, can I change halves into fifths? No, because I cannot change 2 parts into 5 equal parts. Can I change tenths into fifths? No. But can I change halves into tenths? Yes. So in this scenario, the common denominator that I can create is tenths. So the 7/10 will already stay the same, and then I can split the fifths into tenths and the halves into tenths. So in this case, splitting the fifths will only require me to split the fifths into halves, which will now make this fraction, including the wholes, 3 6/10, plus, in this situation, me splitting the halves, I have to split the halves 5 times. 1, which now makes 8 5/10. And then my 6 7/10 would remain the same. So like before, I am still going to, I don't have any room, add all of my fractions first. So this way, if I do have to regroup, I will know it before I add all of my fractions. So starting with my fractions, so 6/10 plus 5/10 is 11/10, and then 11/10 plus 7/10 is 18/10. And then we have our whole numbers. 8 plus 3 equals 11. And then 11 plus 6 equals 17. So like we said before, we can't keep this fraction the way that it is, 17/18, because we can't have a mixed fraction and an improper fraction. It needs to either be a complete improper fraction or a complete mixed fraction. And we're going to change it to a mixed fraction. So we are going to take what would be a whole away from this fraction. So in this case, what is considered a whole in fraction form? 10/10. So we're going to take that 10/10 away and give it to the 17 whole. So that is 1 whole. So that leaves me with 18 wholes, and when I take 10/10 away, that still leaves 8/10 left over. So how many packs of papers have the teacher used so far? 18 8/10 packs of papers. Alright, so now that you have these examples to use and to go by, you are going to do your own assignment. So you have these explore. I will list them down below on the YouTube page, as well as they are on Google Classroom. You will submit these assignments back to Ms.Stiles' Science Google Classroom. Up there you will see these assignments, as well as turning it back in there, so that way I can see your work and I can tell you whether or not you are correct or not. I will also be posting the answers the next day, so you will be able to check your work the next day. So please make sure that you are trying your best and that you are doing your work on your own, or trying to do it the way that I have taught you all, so that way you can be as successful as possible when you come back.